I think most people are using AI incorrectly. If they knew these 6 things, then they would be in a much safer, better, more useful, more practical relationship with generative AI. So I want to share these things with you in my effort to kind of help protect. One of my big things with AI for Non-Techies is making AI accessible to all. So these are some parts of our AI literacy program that would really love to teach as many people as possible. The first one is verify. So assume that AI can be wrong. This is something that we don't think about. So when we've been Googling things, we've actually been verifying our own sources. So you type something into Google, you get your results and you have a list of source types, and you are going to naturally pick which website you trust, and you're validating the credibility of that source as you go. And with AI, you're asking a question or you're prompting something and you get the response back. You don't know where it's come from. And people don't realize that the way AI chatbots work, the way LLMs work, they're predicting the next possible token, the next possible word. So actually, it's not fact. It's not based on, it's not going to prioritize credible information at all. A lot of its training data is not very good. You know, it's pulling from not just academic papers, scientific journals, really well written books. It's also pulling from Reddit posts, personal blogs, just lots of opinion, and it doesn't know which one is good. It doesn't have a quality rating. It's just seeing a load of words, and it's able to create something that sounds like a human has written it, this kind of conversational copy that feels so alive. It feels like somebody else is at the other side. So you cannot trust that. You need to verify facts. So it does something called hallucinate. It will lie really confidently, quite a lot of the time as well, depending on how well you prompt, but we'll get onto that in a second. Just assume that you need to double check everything. So you can ask it to create hyperlinked sources for every fact or assertion it gives you. That allows you to then go back and check the source and check that this is a source that you would trust anyway if you were Googling a website that you would actually click on and like. So you can ask it to do that, or you can just go and make sure that you're checking every single element by having a human go through and go, yeah, this is great that AI has created this, but let's look at this through a really kind of critical lens. Really, really important to verify, because it does not always tell the truth, and not a lot of people realize that as well. The second thing is to protect your data. It is really important. Not a lot of people realize that what you type in and what you attach all those documents could actually come out in somebody else's response if they ask the right question. Now, there are ways that you can minimize that. Picking different subscriptions. So different chatbot levels, basically the more you pay, the better privacy that you get on your data. So it's not going to be used to go back into the machine and train it with it. So picking subscription levels is really important. Tools, picking your AI tools, some have far better security than others. So putting that first and foremost when you pick AI tools is like, where is your security? Tell me openly. Are you GDPR compliant? Are you SOC 2 compliant? What happens to my data? Where is it stored? It's really important to be thinking about this. And I know we're just not used to thinking about this, but it's actually really good best practice for any tool, AI or otherwise. But yes, what you type in could come out in somebody else's response. Otherwise, you need to be really careful. And when it comes to data as well, this is AI. We're only trusting what the people who build the tools tell us that they're doing. So I work with some really sensitive industries like healthcare and pharmaceutical. And what they've done is they've kind of ring-fenced off a type of data that they wouldn't ever trust AI with, like patient information, for example. So you want to look at the data that you deal with as a company or personally and think, well, what would I be happy, worst case scenario, that it would come out in somebody else's response. So be really, really careful. Pick your tools very carefully too. Subscription levels, the same tool, different subscription levels has different levels of privacy. For example, ChatGPT, the free version, no privacy at all. The £20 a month version, very little privacy. You can switch data training off, but we don't know how much we can trust that. ChatGPT Business, which is the one above that, minimum of 2 users, around about £30 a month each. That tends to kick in this kind of enterprise grade security, some good quality chunky security. And then you've got ChatGPT Enterprise, which is above that. And then that's got, of course, enterprise grade security. They have to rely on it and it's going to be even better. So just make sure that you're picking the right tool, that you're looking at security, picking the right subscription levels as well, and just being very, very careful as to what data you actually put in there as well. So if you deal with very sensitive information, you're going to need to have some very serious conversations about what you do. The next one is prompting clearly. So we are so used to Googling, we're used to putting in just a couple of words or a quick question, and that's not really how AI works. You're not going to get the best out of it. So the broader you are, the less quality the response, basically. So good prompts have a lot of detail and specificity in them. They have a lot of context. AI cannot read your mind. It has this wonderful brain filled with so many different types of information, but it can't read your mind. It doesn't know your job. It doesn't know your circumstances, why you're asking this question, what happened before that's relevant to this situation. You need to feed it that information. So it's not actually a very quick, while I'm walking down the road, I'll do a quick prompt. That's not how I use AI at all. But you have to give real specifics. There are really good prompting structures. So RTCCO is a really good one. So role, tell it who to act as, who to be in this situation. So what type of expert would be great at helping you with this question? Then task, what specifically do you want it to do? We tend to be quite good at that one. Context, all that background information, examples of what good looks like, the stuff you would give to a human in real life, that's what you need to give it to AI. Then you've got constraints. What should it not do? Should it stay within a certain word count? What sort of tone of voice should it use? And then you've got output. What specifically do you want it to give back? Do you want a list of bullet points? Do you want tables? Do you want long, detailed prose? What would you like out? So a lot of people are saying now that prompting frameworks and prompting as we know it is going to change because models are getting much more intelligent and they can understand more vague instructions better than ever before. And I can see that starting to happen, but it's still always going to need that context and that background because it can't read your mind. So if you remember one thing from this with prompting, give it context, give it the information you would give a really intelligent but clueless, because they've never worked with you before, new starter. When you're giving them a task, give them all the documents, all of the background, all the information, being careful of your data, of course, that they would need to do a good job. Set them up for success. The next thing is being accountable. So you own the outputs, not AI. So there is no way that you're going to be able to just push responsibility and accountability to AI. If you've created it, it is yours, no matter how you created it, no matter what tools you use, it is yours. So make sure that if you are creating something, that you are fact checking it, that you're not exposing data, that you're making sure that everything is good and true and it's worthy of being under your name. Really, really important. The next one is spotting risk. So one of the big risks with AI that people just don't expect is bias. So that information, this big brain that it has, it's kind of like a download of the internet, the whole internet, not just the good quality bits, the whole internet. So we've got people's personal blogs and websites and Reddit posts and all sorts of social posts and bios. And then you've got scientific journals, academic journals, all these different types of journals. You've got really good, well-researched articles, experiments, so much good stuff, speeches, everything. But it's all mishmashed together and AI doesn't know what good is. It doesn't know that a scientific paper is probably more credible than a Reddit post. It doesn't know the difference between the two. So it just pulls from all of those. So people think because they see it as a kind of robot AI, they think, oh, humans are very flawed and biased. Robots are not. We're going to get a bias-free result. But actually, its brain is based on human-generated content. We all created this stuff, and then humans created this tool. So therefore, it's inherited a huge amount of bias. There's actually about 40-odd types of generative AI bias. For example, techno-solutionism is one. So we'll always recommend technology is the answer to something, as opposed to something that might be more manual or more human. Linguistic biases, it's been trained on English language, therefore it's going to be more biased towards things in English. There are recency biases as well, so it's going to favour documents and things that in its training memory that are more recent, rather than something that was far better researched but is in the past, a little older. And there's also availability bias. So if there's 50 people, 50 documents saying something, and then one really good document saying something else, it's going to trust the 50 above that. And there's so many different ones as well. So be aware it is heavily biased. In the same way that we know with hallucinations, it's going to be incorrect sometimes. Be aware that it can be really, really biased too. It can also give really unsafe advice as well. So we're seeing some really disturbing articles as to people talking to ChatGPT about their mental health. That's not to say it can't work there. It absolutely works for me. But in certain situations with vulnerable people, it can give completely unsafe advice. So do not just trust it as this all-seeing, all-knowing tool. It is a very heavily biased and very flawed interactive chatbot. So you need to see it through that, and it can guess and it can lie and it can mislead. So just be aware of that too. And then finally, using your judgment, I think, is really important for where you should use it. I think focus on very low risk, reversible tasks with AI. So things like creating your content on social media, and dependent on your role, of course, things like getting your ideas from your brain and getting them into a really structured way so that you can take them into action and create to-do lists. Important things. So summarizing reports, that type of thing, creating images and videos. They're all really, really good things. You can analyze financial data depending on the importance of it as well. There are so many things we can get to grips with it on while it's still developing and evolving into something that's safer to use as well. So use your judgment. Don't use it for anything that would require any form of human judgment or any form of empathy, because it hasn't got those human skills. It's never been anywhere. It's never done anything. It's never been out in the real world. It doesn't have opinions. It can't possibly have opinions because it's never actually done anything. It can't be creative. So being aware of all of those limitations will help you hopefully use AI in a more safe and knowing way and be able to get far better results out of it.